Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And thank you so much for joining us today for the EIOS Version 2.0 Transition webinar, the PM session. I would like to welcome you all again. And here with the panelists that I have, we have Ingrid, we have Jason, we have Julie, and Abby. So over to you, Ingrid.
Hello, everyone. So very welcome to the transition session towards to V2. So as Heidi just mentioned, we are going to start in about 2 minutes. So feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat, letting us know from where you're joining from. Also, feel free at any point of this meeting to share your questions in the chat or either in the Q&A, and we are going to answer those questions during the meeting. So yeah, so thank you, everyone.
Until then, I can start by introducing myself. So my name is Heidi Ghanem, and I'm an EIOS training consultant with the EIOS core team working at the WHO Pandemic Hub in Berlin. And I'm going to hand over again to my colleagues.
Yeah, so also here with us today, we have our super crew. Today, we also have from the EIOS core team together with us. We have Julie, Jason, and Abby, who are the superheroes behind the scenes with us, working in the last months for the release of V2. So they'll be with us today as well, answering your questions. And yeah, so please feel free to ask us whatever you want related to the V2. And also, we will still be available after the meeting if you guys need any support, any further support. All right. I think we have already a very good audience here today with us. So without further waiting, I will start sharing my screen. Just 1 second. And voila, we can then start to the session. So once again, colleagues, a very warm welcome to you all. So welcome to the EIOS Transition to V2 session. So today we are going to show you guys what is coming in the next weeks, what are the plans, and also what you guys will have for the next weeks and until the end of September. So let's start with today's agenda. So today we are going to start with presenting the EIOS roadmap and also the journey towards to the V2 version. We're going to show you the main changes of the EIOS system. So what has been improved over the last years in the V2 elaboration, the V2 creation. We will also talk a little bit on how you guys will prepare yourself during this transition phase and also how the transition will happen. And last but not least, we will also share some resources, show a little bit on the support that the team will provide to the communities. And then depending on the time that we have remaining after the presentation, we will open the floor to you guys. All right, so let's start. So the EIOS V2 sits within the EIOS strategy from 2024 to 2026. So the EIOS V2.0, it's part of the strategy objective of the EIOS initiative strategy, which it is providing you guys an enhanced and functional system that it's leveraging and it's sustainable over time. So currently, we are going to modernize the current version, and we are going to launch the V2.0. And until the end of 2026, we will have a full architecture of the system to improve in modular iterations the system in a more agile way, with innovations and new features of our system. There will be also some changes in the technology partnership. So nowadays we have the JRC, the Joint Research Center from the European Committee, and along with that we will have also the support from another partner, which is ADAPT, who will also support us in this innovation of the system and the release of the next iterations over the next months. So here, just a quick roadmap, what it's coming in the future, in the near future for EIOS system. So basically, currently, based on the current version, on the version V1, we have listened to the communities. We have gathered some responses from the community's needs. So based on the feedback received from communities, from users, we have combined those requests, and we tried to bring EIOS V2 to a more modern and upgraded version based on the community's use. So there will be some different functionalities that it's going to be released along with the releases of V2, and those features that we're going to be released, they will have a better technology infrastructure of the system, and we will have more possibilities to integrate other modules over time in the system, meaning that the EIOS V2 will be a much more interactive and modular system adapted to the community's needs. So just passing a little bit towards the journey towards the V2. So here, just to specify a little bit what we have passed through the last months to release finally the V2. So we have started with the requirements and the specifications from the users, from the communities. And after getting all this feedback from you guys, we have started the development of the prototypes of the system. And just after releasing the prototypes, we started the quality assurance testing, which was an internal testing of the system that happened in June, July this year. Some of you guys have participated of the UAT. So this was the external testing of the new system, and this was done in August. And currently, we are here in September, where we are finalizing the last bug fixing, the documentations, the translation of the system, and also we are preparing those sessions, the webinars, the clinics, and even a new user guide for you to use based on step-by-step instructions. And finally, by the end of September, we are going to release the EIOS V2 official system. So having said that, I will pass the floor to my dear colleague Heidi, and she will present to you guys what has changed in the system. So over to you, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Ingrid, and thanks everyone again. So let's get started with what has changed in the EIOS v 2.0. Next. Okay, first, the interface has been modernized. It has a fresh look and feel and is now available in multiple languages. The initial release will include English, Arabic, Chinese, French, Portuguese, and Spanish, but also more languages will be added in the future. Next. Second, we have introduced a new landing page. This is the first screen you will be seeing when logging in into the EIOS version 2.0. This improvement is particularly helpful for members of multiple communities. You will no longer need to switch between them. So instead now, you will have this new board list page that will allow you to view all the boards you have access to, whether as an owner or a contributor. And we will know more in the next slide what's a contributor. On this page also, can we go back? It's okay. On this page, you can also search for boards. You can apply filters to narrow your list, the list of boards, and also you can create a new board directly by clicking create new board in the top right, as you can see. Yes, this one. Next. So as I mentioned, what's board contributors? And this is the third change highlighted in our presentation today. You now can collaborate on shared boards across communities. This makes teamwork much easier. So on the right hand, as you can see in this screenshot, you can this is a screenshot of the form of creating a new board. So the top part is similar to what we had in version 1. Where you can define the board's name, purpose, ownership, and also add tags to your board. The new part is highlighted in the red square here, where you can select contributing teams and set their permission. Next. Oh, actually, no. Go back again. I'm sorry. So, for example, I want to give an example on this slide. So, if I'm a part of the Germany PHI team and I have created a board to monitor the football games event, that is the board that I will be created will be owned by my team. I can add the entire Germany community with the rights to view articles and also pin articles. Also, I can add the RKI, ECDC Mass Gathering Team, and WHO Euro as contributors. And again, in this example that I'm showing here, I'm giving those teams permissions to read and pin articles, but they cannot edit boards, the board settings or the filters. Next. Now, communications, which are called the posts. Another important change is how we manage communications in EIOS version 2.0. So all comments and messages, whether on boards or on articles, are now streamlined in a single feature called posts. Each board has its own post tab where you can view and manage discussions. Again, as I mentioned, whether these discussions have been created on a board or articles, which make it much more easier to track conversation and stay in context with the collaborators in your board. Next. Okay, now categories. The category filter has also been improved. You can now search by text to quickly find specific category. Also, categories are also grouped into topic-based folders, for example, non-communicable diseases or bacteria. You can even add all categories from a folder to your board at once. And just like the new interface, category filter or category labels are now available in multiple languages, depending on your language preference in your profile. Next. And here we have the EIOS version 2.0 new user community and team management. And again, As we have been advocating, we want to strengthen trust and collaboration between communities in EIOS initiatives. So EIOS version 2.0 also introduces user and team profiles. So all users can now view community or team profiles, see their members, view the details of each member, and also each user can also update their own profile to share the information that they want to share with everyone. Next. The slides summarize the core changes in EIOS version 2.0. If you want, you can use it as a reference to highlight the changes with your own EIOS community or team. So next. Okay, preparing for the transition. And now how you can prepare for the transition to EIOS version 2.0. Over the next slide, I will walk you through the transition timeline and the resources available to help you support. And this includes today's and tomorrow's transition webinars, access to the sandbox environment, special clinics, daily drop-in hotline in multiple language, like trainers will be available to answer your questions in different languages. Also an improved online user guide and a dedicated help desk. Next. So I'll start with the sandbox, which following this webinar, all EIOS users will have access to the new sandbox environment. Next. So what is this sandbox? It is an independent space where you can explore and get familiar with the new system. It looks and functions exactly like the EIOS version 2.0, but it contains a limited set of articles. Also, you need to know that activities in the sandbox are temp, and data will be regularly cleaned. So, for example, if you create a new board or pin articles or flag different articles in the sandbox, these actions will not be available in the future. It will be cleaned. Next. So user guide and help desk. And alongside the sandbox, you will also have access to the updated online user guide. This guide includes a dedicated section on the transition with summaries of changes and also links to the detailed step-by-step instructions. Next. Also, in addition to the sandbox and the online user guide, a new help desk feature will be available, and this will be available on the 29th of September, allowing you to submit questions, suggest improvement, and highlight bugs through a simple format in the iOS version 2.0. Next. Now, the special clinics. So starting 17th of September, we will run a series of special clinics. And those are 1-hour sessions. It will focus, each session will focus on specific topics. You will see a demo of the new features. Also, you will learn how to use them effectively, and you will have the opportunity to ask questions or troubleshoot in real time. By now, you should already have received invitations, calendar invites, but if you have not received it or cannot find the links to join those special clinics, you can find them on the user help or the user guide website. As you can see, we will have them starting from the 17th of September until the 23rd. They are all scheduled at 1 p.m. Berlin time until 2 p.m. And we will highlight 4 different topics. First one is the board creation and sharing. Second is the using EIOS, the new improved EIOS category filter. And third topic will be the EIOS communication or as I mentioned, the posts. And the fourth one will be exclusively for the EIOS focal points and community managers who have been already assigned before to manage their community. So this session will be shared only with the EIOS community managers. Next. Here we have the daily drop-in hotline. And finally, from the 24th of September until the 8th of October, we will open a daily drop-in hotline. And this will run Monday to Friday from 10:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Berlin time, where EIOS trainers will be made available. And again, trainers who speaks different languages, including English, French, Arabic, Spanish, and Portuguese. You can drop in anytime during these hours, ask your questions, and seek clarifications about EIOS version 2.0. And with that, the end of the transition activity, and I'm gonna hand over again to my colleague Ingrid. So over back to you, Ingrid.
All right. So with all the nice changes of the system and with all the sessions that we have prepared for you guys over the next days, I will explain a little bit how this transition that we are talking so much will happen. All right, so let me up. So first of all, some of you guys might be thinking, okay, but what I had in V1, what will happen with this boards, this data, and so on. So what we are doing currently, it's migrating the data from V1 to V2. So what will happen from the 17th September? Users, community, and teams membership. So the way that your communities and members are shaped will be migrated as it is to the V2. So from V1 to V2. Same for the boards information and filter definitions. So the boards that you guys have created and saved, the filters, those boards will be migrated as it is to V2. The articles and the related activities that you have done over time with those articles, like flags, pins, and so on, those functionalities will also be migrated as it is. And one special change from V1 to V2, it's the communications and the comments that we have currently on V1. It will be migrated to V2 as posts. So as Heidi just mentioned some minutes ago, there has been some changes on the communications on EIOS, and now we have a unique posts functionality, which is an easier way to interact with posts, boards, and so on. So this one will be the one migrated a little bit different, but adapted to what comes as functionality in V2. So when this data, this information, all the sports information, communities information will be migrated. So immediately after the release of the V2, which will happen by the end of this month, we will have the last 3 months data completely available for you guys. So meaning that when you access the version 2 of EIOS system, you will face this last 3 months data. But in the very coming days, the rest of the historical data, meaning from June 2025 backwards, so until 2017, which is the beginning of our database on EIOS, this piece of the database will be migrated constantly in the coming days after the release. So after 1 week or so, or even less, we will have this complete data available on V2. So just here in a nutshell, the transition dates from the 17th September until the end of this month. So from the 17th until the 26th September, so during this period, the data on EIOS V1, the current version, will be limited available, which means that you will continue using the V1, the current version, as you are using right now. But the data that will be available on this version will be July, August, September, which will be also available in V1 in the current version. And then once we transit completely to the system, to the new system. The rest of the data will be migrated just in the next 2 days. We have one small period that we need to explain to you guys, that from the 26th September until the 28th, which means that will be the weekend, weekend days, the EIOS V1 will be unavailable, because at this weekend it will be when we are going to literally do the final transition from one server to another for the V2. So for the colleagues that has concerns or issues with this weekend, especially for the teams and communities that are working during weekend shifts, you can always contact us for getting further information regarding this data unavailability period, sorry, and we can further discuss on this. And then finally, on the 29th September, we are going to do the final release, the completed release to V2, which will be the kickoff moment where we are going to work exclusively on V2. So as we mentioned, initially the data will be the last 3 months, but in the very next 2 days, we are going to migrate the remaining data missing on the system. And from the 29th September onwards, the V1 system will become available only for reference, which means that your media monitoring work should be at this point on the 29th September be migrated to V2. So you should stop working and monitoring screening articles on V1 and start working directly on V2 from the 29th September. Before this period, the sandbox that Heidi has mentioned before will be available for you guys to get familiar with the system, to play with the functionalities, create boards, close boards without intervening on your own workflow. So besides the specific data migration dates, we also suggest a little checklist for you guys just to orient how to do in the next 2 weeks. So the first things that we advise for all users, so all the users from communities, teams, etc. We super advise to attend the transition webinars. This one, it's the first session that we are delivering, but this same session will be also delivered in Spanish, in Arabic, and French tomorrow. There were 2 sessions before this one this morning in English and another one in Portuguese. And all the recordings will be available for you guys very shortly. So we are going to share those links also in the user guide, the one that we just mentioned, that it's available. And we are also sharing many communications with you guys by email. So stay tuned and keep an eye on your mailboxes just to be sure that you have access to those recordings. So another advice is literally to log in and play with this EIOS sandbox. So feel free to explore the system, to test the different functionalities and how the look and feel of the user interface it's now on V2. And then don't forget to consult the user guide, also attend the special clinics, which the first ones will be on 17th and 18th September. So this week with the boards and category sessions, and then on next Monday, we will have the communication session. So those clinics will be very important because will be the sessions that we are going to do the proper demonstrations on V2. And then coordinate with your team, with your colleagues to validate or even update the SOPs. So if you have all the EIOS process, the media scanning, the media monitoring process from your team described in some documents, we also advise to adapt those documentations to the workflow that you are guys going to check on V2. So the logic behind the system is exactly the same, but perhaps some clicks or some processes might change the order, but it's an important moment to do so. For the board owners, we kindly advise to close any unused boards on V1. So if you guys have created boards that are not under use anymore, especially the boards that you have created for any specific outbreak, for some specific climate event that has passed, or a mass gathering that you are guys not monitoring anymore, we advise to close those boards just to migrate data in a more organized way. And then for the community managers, we also advise to review the list of users of your community and check who no longer needs access to the system. Perhaps colleagues who have left the team, or colleagues who have changed the role within your organization. So for the folks that work with you, that are used to work with you, that no longer use the system, we also advise to do this revision of your user list. So once you have access to V2, so all of those check list indications, it was for this before the release or before the 29th. So this happens from today until the 29th, right? And after the 29th, when the V2 system, the official system, will be launched, what we advise you guys is, so for all users, review and complete the new user profile. So in the new system, we are going to have a dedicated user profile where you can add your work affiliation, you can add your organization. We will have like some preference communications within EIOS to mark. You can also update the community's status and so on. And also, besides the user management side, we also suggest you guys to rewatch these webinars, or even the special clinics recording that we are going to make available as soon as they are ready, just to get some idea or some explanation that we have provided during those sessions that might support you guys in adapting the workflow, or even to get familiar with the new system. Also, feel free to use the drop-in hotline whenever it's needed. So as Heidi presented, we are going to be available in a rotation of facilitators. So we try to open long hours to include different time zones. Like these different people from different communities would be able to join. And also in those sessions, if there is any preference language that you prefer to discuss with the facilitators, you can always signalize in the chat. And the next moment that the facilitator that speaks the language that you prefer will be connected, we can then arrange this more dedicated, specific hotline discussion with the user. For the board's owners, so again, we ask you guys to review the board's ownership and assign any contributors if relevant. So since we didn't have this functionality available on V1, once you access your boards on V2, you'll be able to assign different contributors and give them the adequate permissions to that. So if there is any sort of board that you would like to include then partners, it will be at this moment that you guys will be able to reveal the boards. And then for the community managers, we will request you guys to reveal the community profile and check the teams that have been created or needs to be created in V2 for your community. And This will be made in a very easy way on the new community and teams management module. So please also take a look on this front. With all of those suggestions that we are providing right now, it's just suggestions to make the process a little bit smoother for you guys, and just to make sure that you have all the support from our end as well available and informed to you. But right now, I will stop myself a little bit, and we can open the floor for questions. And I can also check right now the chat, and we can start answering some of the questions lively right now. All right, so let me check the chat. I don't know if colleagues here with me today, if you already have any questions that you have noticed in the chat.
If you would like to ask your question, feel free to raise your hand and we will give the mic to you so you can ask your question. Or use the chat box or the Q&A function.
Right, I see that I have
Yeah.
All right, I see one question here in the chat. I'm sorry, Heidi.
So maybe I could take one. I see one about if we have a board in the training environment, the sandbox, will those be moved over to V2 as well? And the answer is no. So it's a very good question. What you do in the sandbox stays in the sandbox and is erased regularly. So this is why we're saying this is not a production place where you could do your monitoring. It's really to get yourself familiarized with the interface and the new workflows and update your SOP, but it cannot be used to do your media monitoring, and the actions won't be retained. Really, what is migrated comes from V1 migrated to V2 directly. So unfortunately, the things in the sandbox stay in the sandbox. Thanks for that great question.
And perhaps just to complement on Julie's answer regarding the sandbox, for the colleagues that joins firstly on what we called before the training communities on V1, those communities will become actually a training environment. So it will be a part system like this. We avoid having, issues to do some training boards within your official community, which we have noticed before. So in V1, during the trainings on EIOS, many communities had access to the training community and also their own communities. And sometimes when they didn't pay much attention in which community you were, sometimes we used to do some boards that were on the training environment and actually fold into the official community. So to avoid mixing up what is the real workflow, the official workflows from you guys, we will have a dedicated training environment for when we restart training new communities or training the existing communities. There will be this dedicated environment for training purposes.
There's also a question about, can anyone be a community manager? I think this is something that has to be decided within your community. And for now, for the start, because everybody has so much to transition, we're going to migrate those who were actually doing this community manager role. Mainly it was a WHO regional focal point in certain non-member states communities. We're going to transition these people first, and then communities can ask either if it's your WHO regional focal point to be trained and receive those permissions. And the decision of who in your community needs to be decided as a community. There could be a few different community managers and even team managers. That is a new function if you have different Ministry of Health and Animal Health and so on, you could have different people leading those. I think this is really a decision in the community to be decided. Hope that answers your question.
We have another follow-up question about the sandbox. So if we are currently in the training environment on V1, that is the same as the sandbox, correct? And if so, when will the dashboard be erased? A question from Christine.
So that's I think that's not decided yet. I think there was discussion about doing a daily erasing of the sandbox. I don't have an answer, but I could follow up with you. But it's just the idea is don't expect the data to be retained. And what you are doing in the training environment is not migrated neither. So if you have only access to training environment, do reach out and we'll see how to give you access to V2 in the proper community. So do contact us for that.
Another question, will ProMed be available in version 2.0?
I would hope. I don't know if Johannes is able, because I don't think, Jason, do you want to take that one or?
I'm not quite sure. That might be better answered by Johannes and the source coordinator.
Oh, we have Philip.
Philip.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Great, thanks for the presentation. In terms of the question, no, ProMed will not be in the version 2. Old ProMed content might be, but any content since I think about February or so of this year will not be. However, we are discussing content from Beacon, and feel free to look up Beacon. It is another initiative that started up relatively recently and includes a number of former ProMed moderators, but it's not a ProMed V2, it's different, but does have some similarities in terms of moderation and content coming into the EIOS system. Hope that answers the question. Thanks.
And I think there was also another question about will closed board be migrated? But I saw the question and it disappeared, so I don't have the name of who asked it. But yes, the idea is that old boards, to keep it clean, will not be migrated if they're closed. So if you want a board to be migrated, reopen it. And then once it's migrated, if you want to reclose it, you can close it. But currently the idea was that closed board will not be migrated to keep this clean, because there was a lot of test boards that people had tried before there was a space for that. So the idea would be that closed boards are not migrated. And that seems to please Johannes, a great opportunity to clean boards.
We had a couple of questions about the RSS feed in the chat and in the Q&A, and Johannes thankfully has answered those questions. So I'm adding also Johannes here in the panelists. If anyone has a question to Johannes or any questions related to the EIOS version 2, raise your hand or ask your question in the chat box.
You're saying that Johannes is now able to take because we have here a question.
Yes,
I'm not sure if you can see it in the QA. There's a question from Fernando. You can see it?
Let me see. Yeah, the question says, at some point I heard that EIOS would move from RSS to API access. Is that something on the radar or the dev team? Over to you, Johannes.
Yes, can you hear me? Great,
Yes.
thanks a lot. Yeah, we will have both possibilities. So RSS will be available through a kind of API already, and APIs will be enhanced to allow better queries on the data. So we have an enhanced version of the APIs, and we will also make RSS feeds available going forward, and we will inform you about the needed steps to transit from V1 to V2 in the next couple of days. I hope this will go smoothly.
Thank you so much, Johannes. Any other questions?
I see the colleague Joshua with the hands up, so maybe we can ask him to unmute and ask the question.
Hello everyone. Well, my name is Joshua from Kenya. Allow me to say I'm privileged to be in this training, and this is an evidence that when science meets the commitment, when science meets commitment, the sky is the limit. Now, let me telescope your attention into a very special category of people we have in our society, people with hearing or facial impairment. Do we really have something or a provision on how they can be trained on this? I rest my case.
So I don't know, Johannes, if you want to add something, but I know that when they were designing the interface, some parts of it were already were compliant with the thing in thinking with visually impaired people. Some part of the interface may not be already done, but there's a revamp that is planned to unify. You might see two different when you move from monitoring to some other modules, but it's planned to unify that, and it will follow the best practice for visually impaired. Thank you for the question.
Okay, another question that we have is many of these features improve the user experience. Are there any planned changes to the underlying data structure?
Yeah, I can answer that. Yeah, it's because this is a major new version. Yeah, there's going to be changes to the overall system data structure. We're hoping to, obviously, with the data from version 1, migrate that into the new version 2 data structure completely behind the scenes. But if there's, other uses of the existing version 1 data in terms of the RSS feeds or API functionality, like Johannes mentioned, we're also going to be incorporating those. So that should be seamless for the end user in using the new features and functionalities in version 2. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Jason. Yeah, and I've seen different questions about Beacon, and I believe Johannes and Frank has mentioned the status of adding Beacon to the EIOS version 2.0. But again, if you want Johannes to share with everyone, what are we expecting in the next few weeks? We cannot hear you.
Is this working now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, so we are finalizing currently the integration of Beacon. So from a technical point of view, we do the final steps, and then we need to check that everything goes correctly into the EIOS system. So in the next couple of weeks, we will be able to feed Beacon also into the EIOS system as a new source. The exact date, I don't know it. If we get ready for with this for launch, end of September or shortly after, but it will be, the next couple of weeks, it will be in the EIOS system.
That is so exciting. Thank you so much, Johannes. And I can see Ingrid has already shared the link for the EIOS version 2 sandbox. So feel free to use the link, explore the new sandbox. And as we have mentioned, no activities will be saved. Create new boards as much as you want before the release of the EIOS version 2.0. make yourself experts. And again, if you have any questions, now you can ask them. If you have questions later, we're going to be having the clinics, the special clinics, which will start on the 17th of October until the 23rd, 4 sessions. And on the 18th, we will start on the 24th of September, we will start the drop-in hotline. And again, we'll be available starting from 10:30 a.m. Berlin time until 4 p.m. If you have any question, if you struggle with any function, need some guidance, just drop in and we will be there to answer all your questions. We still have about 10 minutes in our webinar, so if you have any question, feel free to raise your hand or ask your questions in the chat box. And again, in the chat box, Ingrid has shared the links to the EIOS focal points, the WHO regional focal points. So if you have a specific questions to the EIOS core team, you can reach us at the EIOS at who.int. Other than that, you can reach directly to your regional focal point. And in the chat, you can find the direct mailbox for the regional focal points.
So maybe I could take one more question from Charlotte, who's asking if we do not have pinning permission for a particular board in a different community, do we contact the owner of that board? The idea is currently, yes, is these conversation. When you set up a board, the idea is really to have a discussion outside of EIOS for the moment, where you could decide who's going to be doing which role. If you only have view of the view permission for that board, because if you don't have view permission, you won't see that board, then you will know who is the owner and you'll be able to have a discussion with them and propose to contribute as either like to have the permission to pinning on that board. Yes, that would be the process to do that. Thanks.
Another question in the chat box. I don't get it, but I'm gonna ask you, Herbert, if you want join us and ask your question. It says, I wanted to ask for the regional focal points. I'm not sure if that's a question or just a comment, but I'm gonna give you, let me give you the role to unmute. Here we go. So if you have a question, please feel free to ask.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Hello.
Thank you so much. This is Herbert Isabile from Uganda. I was trying to actually find out if there would be any contacts for colleagues to reach out in case we have an issue. I noticed that a few of our colleagues joined, and maybe having a second session just with the Ugandan team would be very helpful. But I should be able to follow up with the contacts that you shared. And thank you so much.
And if I could add that we have the recording this morning, and this recording will be available. And tomorrow we still have 2 sessions, one in French and one in Arabic. Oh, 3. We also have one in Spanish. So it's another busy day tomorrow. So if for anyone who's is able to follow in any of those languages, there's also these other sessions tomorrow. Or again, like you're saying, you could contact Afro Focal Point in your case and see if there's possibility to have another session for your community.
Just a compliment for the Uganda, so we do have some experts and trainers in Afro team that could give you the support. For your specific region, I would say that Joyce from the EIOS Afro team would be one of the focal points for you to contact. But nevertheless, I have shared in the chat both our EIOS core team email and also the Afro one. So all the Afro colleagues will be able to access and respond to the you get the community and give the support accordingly. But thank you very much, Herbert.
Thank you, everyone, again. And we still have 5 minutes, so last chance to ask your question. If not, I hope you're enjoying the sandbox already and you have it open, exploring the new features and the improved ones. So we can also hear some feedbacks if you would like to share some.
Maybe I could just make a quick note and just, yeah, again, give thanks to everybody here for attending, participating. Like Heidi and Ingrid mentioned, we're here to assist over these next couple of weeks as we start the migration and release process. We'll be sending out email communications to provide more information on the exact timing and dates of the system interactions and migrations. We do hope that, yeah, any feedback that you have, you can share onwards with us for bug fixes, for improvements. We, are constantly evolving the system to make it amendable to what you need for your daily operations. And we, yeah, definitely look forward to working with you to improve the system as it releases.
Thank you so much, Jason, and thanks again, everyone. Okay, I can see Julie waving already. So if you don't have any questions, thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. And we hope to see you in the special clinics and in the drop-in hotline. Enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks again. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. And thanks for the
Bye.
great words in the chat.